Johannesburg Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso says corruption and collusion by some officials is preventing the city from reclaiming its commercial spaces, which are illegally being used by businesses. Several buildings were raided today in the inner city of Johannesburg as part of an operation which also includes Home Affairs, the South African Police Service and Johannesburg Metro Police Department. Joining us now is the MMC Mlungisi Mabaso to tell us more about these raids. Good evening to you, MMC. Thanks for your time. What did you uncover today and who's to be held responsible?
Thank you very much, Putokoli, and greetings to yourself and the viewers at home. Well, when we went for an operation today in the inner city, particularly focusing on the properties that are owned by the Johannesburg Social Housing Company, our focus was on our commercial stores because every time when we talk about the rental collection, the revenue collection in the city of Johannesburg, we mainly focus on the residential part, where we deal with the issues of rental, the issues of consumption of services. And we have never, paid attention to our commercial spaces. And what we have learned is that, we are owed a lot of money by the people who have leased our commercial spaces, particularly in the inner city. And that's what triggered our visit today, because what I had learned from the report, which I had requested from the team from the entity, was that the building that we had visited today has 11 commercial spaces, and all 11 of those commercial spaces are leased to foreign nationals. And combined, they are owing the entity above 2.5 million. And there is no indication of whether these monies will be paid to the municipality, because even the acknowledgement of debt that was signed by these leaseholders have not demonstrated capabilities, and the ability for them to settle what is owed to the municipality. Some of them, their lease agreements are coming to an end, but if you look at the amount that they are paying to the municipality, it will take them 7 years to settle the debt that they have with them. And that's why today we had to go on the ground on full force, to enforce this payment, but also to enforce compliance and adherence to our policy. And that's why we had shut down some of the businesses that are owing us, businesses that were not compliant within our facility, and those that have not shown ability and capacity to settle the debt that they are owing to the municipality.
MMC, I'm aware that you are pressed for time. I need to squeeze this question in. You would have heard in our introduction talking about your complaint that there is collusion from the side of your officials as City of Johannesburg that could be working together with the people that basically are squeezing you out of money from collecting this revenue. What are you doing about those people, and how many people are we talking about here?
Yeah, for now, I think it's difficult to mention the number of officials that might be colluding with these leaseholders, especially those that are not paying and those that are not compliant. But how we have learned about that is that previously, when I visited one of the buildings, because this was my third operation in the inner city, focusing on the commercial spaces, we learned that one of the officials went on to advise these people who are operating prior to our visit, because upon our arrival, we saw that they were already expecting us on the ground, and they had moved some of the items out of the stores, and others, they were still trying to move some of the items out of the stores. And even today, when we arrived, we saw that, they were expecting us. Some of the shop owners were not there. Some of the employees were not there. And I can tell you, Pututoli, that, they have employed foreign nationals, undocumented foreign nationals, because when we engage with the tenants, some of the people that are using these shops, they gave us information. But when we arrived there, There were no workers in some of the shops. There were no owners in some of the shops. There were South Africans in some of the shops, which is an indication that these people were advised in advance before our arrival. And it's something that I requested the executive to look into, because it is happening to us now for the third time. When we plan for these operations, by the time we get on the ground, already someone has advised these people
so
of our
So MMC, it's clear then that indeed collusion is going on here. People are being tipped off by your own officials. You may be seeking advice from council on what to do, but I think one of the key steps you should be doing is going and opening criminal cases.
Yeah, well, because we do not know at the present moment on who is involved from these officials. So the internal investigation will then keep in, and that's the advice which I gave to the CEO of the NTT and the CFO today, to say, they need to initiate, internal investigation for us to determine who are these officials, who are colluding with these people, so that we are able to institute disciplinary processes against them. So that process is going to be initiated, and we will wait for the outcomes of those particular investigations, because we do really want to know who is advising these people, and we also want to understand, how they got to be given the lease to trade in these spaces, because these businesses are not compliant, they are not in adherence with our policy, but they are there operating, owing us quite a lot of money. They've signed the acknowledgement of debt, but they are not honoring, the commitment and the obligation that they've made to their lease agreement and the acknowledgement of debt. So there is a lot that is going on there, and that's why I had requested that the executive look into the matter, so that they are able to advise us properly on how we are going to deal with the officials that are involved in these illegal activities.
Well, we're going to have to hear from you then on the follow-ups and updates, MMC, but it is quite a serious matter. Trying to clean up the inner city is one thing, but when you're being sabotaged by your own officials, that's completely unacceptable. We're hoping to hear from you in the near future.